morning, everybody. Again, this is Natalie with Atlanta Sex Therapy and our favorite clinician, Lamarr E. Lewis. And we just put him in charge of all things men and most things sex. And so
Sounds good.
today, we're wanting to talk about this group that we're going to get started for men.
For
And
sure.
so, Lamarr, I just wanted to
Yes.
sit down with you and talk about what are the benefits for group? Like, why would a man sit
Mm-hmm.
down and talk
Mm,
about his issues with other
mm,
men? Like, how is that
mm.
going to be helpful?
Man, that's a it's a good question. Um,
Right.
yeah, yeah. One thing I'll say before I kind of lead into some of my more strategized points is that men, there's a lot of research coming out now about how just men are lonely, right?
Oh.
And so men, especially a lot of men, if you just kind of been socialized,
Mm-hmm.
cisgender, heterosexual male, you've been around sports, you understand the concept of team.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of view or approach group like that. Like, everybody on the
Oh,
team brings
man.
something.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest benefit
Yeah.
overall.
Yeah.
But there are some specific benefits, but I just think that the biggest benefit is, man, I'm a part of a team and we all trying to achieve a goal. Instead of trying to win a
Yeah.
game, we're trying to just
Right.
be better men.
Right. Right.
So that's kind
Yeah.
of my overall overarching approach.
No, that's a good point because I think goal setting 101, or at least in the 102 class, when you talk about
Mhm.
goal setting, they always say if you can do it with somebody else, if you have
Mhm.
somebody else to hold you accountable,
For
to
sure.
just ask you a question from now and then, to
For
meet you
sure.
at the gym when you go,
Yep.
that you will do better all
Mhm.
day long with
Yep.
that. And
Yep.
so, okay, I can
Yeah.
get with
Yeah.
that
That's a
now.
good
All
point.
right.
Yeah. 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 It's like that accountability. I don't want to let my partner down. I don't want to let my,
Yeah.
my workout, for example, your workout example, my workout partner
Hmm.
down. So I got to show up, even if I don't
Yeah.
want to be there at 6 o'clock
Right.
in the morning. I got to be there, but he gonna be there, kind of thing. So yeah,
Right.
for
Definitely.
sure.
Okay. All right. So what do you think some of the benefits are for group?
One of the biggest benefits and one of the biggest complaints I hear is about men being unable to kind of express themselves or effectively communicate their feelings and emotions. So I
Hmm.
think that using the group as a model for effective communication is a big deal, coupled with how to resolve conflicts within a group or interpersonal setting.
Hmm.
Um, Along with that, I think that increases a person's emotional intelligence and awareness, being able to identify emotions, being able to have somebody to point out to you when you shut down, when you withdraw from yourself, when you don't want to talk, when you get defensive, right?
Hmm.
In a therapeutically safe environment, where it's
Mm.
not with your significant other or anything like that, but somebody say, "Hey, bro, like really." What you upset about? Why are we, that kind
Hmm.
of energy. Um,
That reminds me of what's his name? Cat Williams talking about you mad at bacon?
yeah, for sure.
The
For
first
sure.
thing in the morning, you just mad.
Man,
Like
yeah,
how
what we upset
that
about?
work?
Yeah, and in my experience, I found that a lot of times men feel safer once the cohesiveness is built,
Okay.
sharing with other men and even with their own partners. One of the
Yeah.
biggest fears a lot of men have that I've come across is fear that it's been told to me two ways, which kind of goes back to this communication and conflict resolution, emotional intelligence component. Is a I feel like my feelings are going to be weaponized against me. I
Mm.
think I've said that before. That's a big
Yeah.
one. But
Yeah.
another one is I'm I'm asked to share my feelings.
Yeah.
And I share my feelings, then I have to apologize and assuage your emotions because of how what I said about how I feel made you feel. Instead
Hmm.
of, you know what I mean? So it's not like just a space to share. It's like, oh well, blank, blank, blank. You say what you feel, then you made that person feel bad. So now you got to apologize for just how you were saying how you felt. So that's a thing. I think it also helps with values clarification, right? Like I said, with the team,
Yeah.
if we all value winning,
Mm-hmm.
right, then we may have different paths to get there. We at least now
Mm-hmm.
clarify what that means. Okay, what does winning
Right.
mean for me? Winning may mean
Right.
for me that I got to get
Yeah.
20 points a game.
Yeah.
But winning for you may be just getting on the like.
Right.
Now we can help clarify what that means and what that looks like long
Right.
term.
Right. Right. I
You
think that's
know,
so true. I just remember a long time ago, I was sitting with this guy, and he was it was the funniest conversation. I think even at the end he had to laugh at himself. But he was saying how, nah, I'm trustworthy. I don't know why she trusts me. I don't know why she don't trust me. And I was like, because you literally told her you wouldn't cheat, you would leave. You cheated and you stayed.
right.
So now you have broken your word and you are not trustworthy anymore. The thing I trusted you for, the one thing you said, you didn't do. And so it was so funny. It just took a minute to be like, oh man, I guess that means I'm not trustworthy.
Right.
And it's like sometimes because we have such an idea of ourselves that our actions don't line up with what we think of ourselves.
For sure.
And it takes somebody else calling out and saying, no, that don't line up. Are you sure that don't line up? And so I can see how a group would definitely benefit for that, you know. So I can see how a group would just help you be the man that you want to be, that you really think you are in your head. And I get a bit, all of us, men and women, think that we're better people than we actually are.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I would never steal. I would never lie. I would never cheat. I would da-da-da. I keep it 100 until you get tempted.
Right. And, you know, and as you know, in your seat and in my seat as well, like people gonna be people. You know what I'm saying?
Say that.
And there are things that when I was younger used to surprise me that now as I mature, I'm just like, no, I think I seen that coming. You know?
Yeah.
You know, when you're young, you kind of idealize things and idealize people. But as I've gotten older, I just realized like, no, you just a person, you know,
just a person.
And that has helped me have more grace and compassion for people, even people who I may feel have done me wrong, because I realized like, okay, what motivated this decision has nothing to do with me.
Yes.
So I don't need to take that personally. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's taken a while to get there, but you know, now I'm just kind of play like people do. I'm just like, you know, it actually makes sense. I can see why.
It's kind of like when you realize, like if somebody's talking about you or running your name through the streets, that it actually says more about them than you. Like, okay, so you're that type of person. Okay. Thank you. That's good information.
Yeah, and which leads me to another point, which to this accountability point, like many people make choices but don't want to accept the consequences of their choices. Right? So I may decide to run your name in the mud. Now, I will say you can run my name through the mud, but if you're another man, you're gonna have to see me about that at a point. We're gonna have to have a conversation about you disrespecting me. If it's a woman, it just is what it is. I don't argue with it. That's just my personal belief. But as a man, which goes back to this accountability piece, like you can't say, hey, and some men don't have these kind of friendships or bonds right in their life where they can have somebody say, hey, bro, I love you, but you tripping. You know what I'm saying? This one's on you. You got to eat this one. And I mean, thankfully, I'm blessed to have family and friends who are like family who we have that kind of rapport where even if we don't agree, they're not going to let me veer too far off my path, right? And vice versa. But I think that groups like this will provide men who may not have that. Or ultimately, it's like telling your mom what's going on with you and your partner. Like your mom, you may be wrong, but that's your mama. At the end of the day, she can ride with you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But sometimes you need somebody who don't really, you know, they're like,
right. Yeah.
Which I think, you know, to add to some more points, like it helps us to think healthier, which I think is my overall goal, and help people to see things more clearly, right? I think that when we see things from a more realistic perspective, we kind of get out of that black and white thinking, which is something a lot of us, we all do it from time to time, you know, I feel like, but we live in those extremes and there's a whole bunch of gray in the middle that we don't necessarily see because, oh, I'm always this, or she's always that, or he's always that, or whatever the case may be. So I
Yeah.
think promoting healthier thinking by having that accountability, by having that mirror, somebody saying, hey, I know that makes sense to you, but do
Yeah.
you hear what you're saying? Like, does that really, say it out loud
Right.
one more time? And I'm
Right.
good for that. I'd
Right.
be like, help me understand. Because sometimes people say to you, like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't, do
Yeah.
you hear what you're
Let
saying?
me say that back to you
Right. How
and
I
tell me what
understand
you
it. And
think.
maybe I'm
Right.
off, and
Mhm.
it's like, no, 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 that's right. Is it? Uh, I think that
And
also,
again, we're not judging because we all do that. We
oh,
all
no,
do
for
that.
sure, for
Like,
sure.
I know
And
I've said things and people have just,
every day,
okay, look,
every day,
And that's the beautiful thing about being a therapist is having therapists around you that catch you real quick. Like, say that.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, for sure. And it's
Okay.
funny, so many people in our field, because people look to you for
Mm-hmm.
advice or clarity or whatever the case may be, that sometimes you rely a lot on yourself, which
Yeah.
leads to this next point about stress management, right? One of the best ways to reduce stress is to have like a healthy social network, right?
Yeah.
So we're building that in there as well, where we're able to just reduce. Sometimes you just need to vent.
Yeah.
Like, hey man, I know we working on blank, but I just
Yeah.
need about 5 minutes. I just got to get this off my chest.
Right.
And having that ability to be there and have people be like, yo, that is a lot, man. Sorry you dealing with that, or whatever the case may be. I think that's also important. Um, and then I think lastly, well, not now last, but one other point is about just being aware sexually, right? Like a lot of us, and this, as well as
Mm-hmm.
anybody, a lot of us, especially a lot of men, get their sex
Yeah.
education from, adult entertainment, other
Mm-hmm.
people who don't know what they talking about,
Right.
popular
Yeah.
culture, folklore and myth.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
I told you about
Uh,
the earwax thing. I think last time we talked.
right.
You don't know no better. It sounds like it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
oh yeah, put
Right. Right.
earwax in
Right.
there. Like in
Um,
hindsight, that's utterly disgusting. But
yeah. One of the things I'm always laughing about is how many people got their sex education from their big cousin. Like
oh
it's
my
like
god,
it's like I don't
my
know who
cousin
these big cousins
Shamari.
are,
Yep,
but I promise you, if I do a sexual history, I'm gonna say 7 out of 10 people got their
yep,
education from their big cousin. Like,
yep. Because they usually one of the first caregivers.
right, the
Or
person that can kind of be real with them and know what's going on and
yeah, yeah. They
explain.
older, but they,
Yeah, it's
like my
funny.
cousin Shamari got me by like 10 years or so. So like
Gotcha.
he's always been, and he's like,
Yeah.
light skin, green eyes, long curly hair. He's biracial, so you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like he,
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah.
uh always, especially back, the 80s and 90s,
Right.
like,
Right.
that's Albie Shortface. So he was like always, he's always had, so I
That's
always
funny.
looked up to him in that regard.
That's
But
funny.
he was the first one that gave me a magazine, first one, what all kind of crazy stuff. And so like I always like it's his fault. You know what I'm saying? It's all cuz it ain't on me. But yeah, it's crazy how you have, because also usually the first people you kind of look up to,
hmm
I know I
Well,
looked up to him, you know what I'm saying? So it's
I
like,
think
oh man.
one of the funniest things for me in general is
Mm-hmm.
I still look up to my big cousins.
Me
Like
too.
it
Yeah.
is so hilarious.
Me
Like
too.
I'm like mid 40s. Oh, it's especially one of my cousins. Like he's a liquor and cigar connoisseur.
Mm-hmm.
So I literally feel like I'm a teenager getting the drink with the big kids. Like oh, they
Mm-hmm.
giving me beer. Like
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, first of all, I'm grown. So I got my own
That's a
house.
fact.
I'm
Yeah.
fully grown. Why
Yeah.
do I feel like this? And I still feel like, oh, it's my big cousin. So
Mm-hmm.
like what they doing is
Yeah.
extra cool,
Yeah, no, that's a
hilarious.
fact. That's a fact. Yeah, and I think that I can definitely relate to that. And I think depending on your upbringing, right?
Yeah.
Like because my biological father wasn't around, for example, I've
hmm
always looked to older guys for
Yeah.
that kind of wisdom that I didn't get on day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so like I think that for me played another factor in it because it's like
hmm
here's this older guy. He wasn't like he ain't that much older than me, but old
Yeah.
enough for me to like look up to and be like, oh
Right.
man, I want to be like my big cousin kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I definitely relate to that. And no slight to him, or any of my family or whoever tried to
Right.
teach me stuff,
Right.
but you
Right.
only know what you know, right?
Right.
And so,
Yeah.
you get this, and I think you raise another valid point. If you getting this information at these very critical stages in your development,
Mm-hmm.
then you hold on to that story,
Right.
and then sometimes you don't know until you are age, like, where did
Right.
this
Wait
even
a
come
minute.
from? Like,
That
that don't
didn't
even make
make
no
sense.
man. That's what that's the process. I'm in the unlearning, relearning process right now.
Right.
I'm just like,
Right.
this doesn't make any sense. Get this out of here, but you just live. You know what I'm
You
saying?
just live. Just
You just
accept, just
live.
thinking this is the truth. Just thinking the truth.
Yeah.
Like this is just the truth. It's so
Yeah,
funny.
bro. But I
I
think
think
that, yeah, no, go ahead. Let me cut you off. Go ahead.
no, one of the things that bring it back around to why the group would be beneficial,
Mm-hmm.
I think, is groups teach you about relationships.
Exactly.
And I know a lot of men and women too, but we're talking about men today who
Mm-hmm.
have said things like, I don't like men. I can't be in a
Yep.
relationship with them. I can't da 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 da. Okay, but they people too. And
Right.
so if you can't be in a relationship with half of the population, how are you going to succeed? Like, how are you
This
going to build? How are you going to grow?
that
Because
is
you
a
can
$1 million
only
question.
grow so much by yourself. At some point, you're going to have to learn how to be a visionary,
Yep.
how to communicate a vision,
Yep.
how to delegate, how to build people. And
Yep.
so I hear a lot of men, nah, you fucked me over. Sorry to cuss y'all. I ain't dealing with you no more. Oh, okay, but now you replace the people in your life because people gonna be people. Like people gonna
Yep.
keep people in. They
Yep.
gonna keep making mistakes.
Yep.
And so if you throwing somebody away every time they make a mistake, you replace the people in your life every 6 months to a year. Like,
And then
how
you
are you
wonder,
going
yeah.
to build
And you
like
wonder why
that?
you lack depth of
Right.
relationship. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, was talking to my son about that. He has a friend. She's a young lady,
Mm-hmm.
but I think she identifies as bisexual. That's not the point.
Right.
She's always in some mess when it comes to her relationships with these young
Always.
ladies or whatever. That's the point.
Yeah.
So, he's like, I don't want to be her friend no more. She be cheating, she be lying, she be da da woo woo. I'm like, I hear you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like, does that outweigh everything?
Right.
Like, are we judging an entire person based on their worst days or their worst moments? Right.
Yeah.
We can't. I think this is actually one of me and my clients talk about a lot. Like, it's hard to judge somebody based on all the good days and on all the bad days, right? How are they
Right.
baseline day to day? Because when somebody's doing everything you want them to do, of course they're great. They're amazing. They're supposed
Right.
to do that, right?
Right.
Oh yeah,
Right.
do whatever I
Yeah.
want you to do for sure.
Yeah.
But then on the other side, when they're at their worst, it's like, oh no, I can't be around this person no more.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think that
Yeah.
having a and healthier perspective, like I was saying earlier, but I think to your point that I wanted to add, and I was going to circle back to this part too. Like, if you didn't have a model for healthy relationships, right? Where do you learn this skill?
Yes.
Where do you learn this skill of perseverance?
Yeah.
Where despite not even despite what somebody said this to me years ago, it's always stuck with me. Loving somebody not because of, but in spite of. Right.
Yes. Oh,
And
that's a good one.
when he said that, I was young and like I'm probably my son's age, 18, 19 years old.
Right.
But it
Look,
stuck
it
with
didn't make
me.
sense. You ain't even
Yeah,
understand
because you
it.
get older, and it's like, yeah, in spite of the fact you working my last nerve, I'm still gonna show up for you. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And not
Yeah.
because of the fact you do whatever freaky stuff I ask you to do. Like,
Yeah.
that's not it. And I think that to your point, like there's this real, and this is something we probably need to talk about at some point. There's this real dissension between men and women, especially black men and women, in my experience,
No, it
over some
is.
stuff that's just so like, and it's like, do you not see the bigger picture here? You know what
Right.
I'm saying? And I think that that's the part that, at least with this group, I'm hoping we get to see, like you said, hey, we grow through relationships. We've
Yeah.
survived as long as we have as a species because we
Yeah.
work together.
Yeah.
And you can be adversarial to one part. You can blame women or blame men or blame whoever
Right.
for all the issues. And that's cool,
Mm-hmm.
but is that productive? Is that getting you what you want out of
Right.
life? If
Right.
it ain't, then maybe we need to look at this
Yeah.
differently. So
Oh
that's what I'm
man.
hoping people get out from it.
We gotta talk about that adversarial relationship. Like I'm putting it on the books. That's the next thing you and I are gonna talk about.
Oh man,
It's
we're
a
gonna need an
thing.
hour for that. We're gonna need at least an
We're gonna
hour.
need it. Okay, we're gonna have to do
Yeah,
it. We're gonna
that
have to
that one
move
ain't.
it.
Yeah, we ain't be
We
able to
might
cut it
wind up
off.
doing our own podcast. Like, because when
Man.
we talk, we can keep talking. Like,
Oh yeah, for sure.
I
It's
gotta
so
run right
many
now.
things. It's so many
It's so
things to
many things
do.
that we are seeing every
Yeah,
day. Like,
for sure.
yeah, because I joke with some of my supervisees. Like, we honestly can't make this up. Like like I cannot make this up. Like I cannot make this up. Feel like I'm saying that at least 2-3 times a week. And then the other thing is, we still doing that
Yep.
after all these years. We still doing that. Okay. Like the problems don't change. Like the problems don't change. We still, jealous of so and so because they got so and so when I was 2 and I was 3, and they gave them money and didn't give me money. Like all of the things, like they are still there. So, all right. Thank you so much for your time. I know
For
you got to
sure.
go. I know I got to go. And so have a great day and thank you so much. All
No, thank
right.
you. I appreciate
All
you. Have a great
right.
one.
Bye.
All right. Bye bye.